See, that does show that you're old. Sonic, I'll give you, but Tetris, you know.
My first computer was Dragon. It was a Dragon 32.
I gotta
And
Google this now.
yeah,
Could carry on.
you probably would have to.
Dragon 32. What is that shite?
But it basically came out around the same time as Sinclair Spectrum 48K.
Wow. Sorry. For those of you, if you have Googled this as well, it's like a typewriter, but instead of paper, it's got a massive. I can only assume that was probably what it needed to power that keyboard.
Yeah, it wasn't a beautiful machine.
Oh, Jesus! They coloured it up though. They
What,
did
the
colour it
logo?
up. Yeah,
Oh yeah, the logo's beautiful.
that's wonderful. That is.
But this is like, if you look at old Atari cartridge games, if you look at the packaging, like it's like beautiful painted packaging, and then when you put the cartridge in, turn the game on, it's like two colours.
My old man had a Commodore 64,
Right. Yeah.
and I didn't.
People most likely won't need to search for that.
No, I remember very distinctively he was playing a tank game on it, and he was just on the enemy border, and because there was no save or anything like that, he left it there, and he'd been playing this all day, and me being me as a child, I could see that he'd been pressing the arrow keys to move.
Right.
So I just decided I just wanted to move a tank once, and I moved it into the enemy border, and then there was lots of real old retro, a bit like when Batman and Robin in the old Batman and Robin used to punch people. Like,
Some pals.
yeah, there was loads of those retro like signs and visions coming up, and my dad walked in, and he looked like someone had just killed his wife, like, and he just told me to leave the room very quietly, and yeah, I realised.
So
Yeah.
is this why you spend so much time messing up your bass now?
Probably. That's
just,
right. He messes everything up in my life, mate.
It's just revenge.
Yeah. Like he always, whenever he comes over, he always tries to break something in the house, and he always just says the same thing. Well, you did it in my house. Yeah, but I was 8, Dad. You're 60 almost. But yeah.
Well,
So come on, what was after the dragon?
Well, the next computer that I can actually remember was an Atari ST, which was pretty good. I used to play a lot of Falcon, Flight Simulator,
Right.
and then it was on to PCs from there. So my first PC game was Wolfenstein 3D.
Bloody hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And I think that came out in '92, so that was so I would have been 18 then.
I would have been 5.
Yeah.
5 years old, mate. So just think, when you were 18 and having a swig of beer down the offie, I was
Still drinking milk.
probably still pissing the bed at night. To be fair,
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
who's
I'm,
not?
I'm, well, true. You'd have been after a night out, so.
And then my next game, the first game I actually went out and bought was Doom. So I think Wolfenstein.
You'll remember Doom.
I think Wolfenstein. My dad gave me the install discs. So yeah, the first game I bought was Doom. And it came in one of those big boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doom, and then a few years later, Quake. It's like I had loads of games at the time, but I just don't remember any of them. I had Duke Nukem 3D, which was obviously between those two, between Doom and Quake.
I'm just thinking ahead here. You're probably going to have to split this recording into a couple of sections now.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm starting to get onto another rant again now.
Right.
So, as you know, I do a lot of sim racing.
Mm.
I've got my own racing club now called ASR, Attis Sim Racing, And
What's it stand for?
we Attis. It's Attis is a well, it's a Greek. It's Greek for rebirth because we all came from a club. There's three of us who run it, and we came from a club that had kind of gotten a bit too big for its shoes. So there was over 1,000 members, did massive 50-car races and stuff like that.
Wow.
So we wanted to give everyone a fresh new feeling again of a community spirit again, and so we run races where there's like 20, 25 to a grid, but we all know each other, so it's not just people randomers signing up from all over the place. It's you have to be a member of a Discord, and you have to race with us in a few races before, and obviously keep active and things like that. So, but yeah. So I was because my mum and dad, they used to go round to their friend's house, and they used to play one of the old F1 games. And the reason they went round to their friend's house is they used to take the computer around there with the old coax network cable.
Yeah.
And they used to hook up the computer at his house, and then they'd play with a joystick.
Yeah.
And they'd race around a track. And I showed my mum the other day, because I've got like a really good steering wheel and really good pedals, and I showed my mum one of the Formula 1 2020 game the other day, and it's really funny because she looked at it and she was like, that's really amazing, that's really good. I still prefer the old one though. and don't you find a lot of people say that nowadays?
I think people they have rose tinted glasses about these old games.
Yeah.
I have a policy of never revisiting a game that I have fond memories of, because it's not the same. Honestly, it is not the same. My memories of Quake. I don't. So on my other YouTube channel, I started doing a playthrough of Quake, because I wanted to cover retro games, things people might not have seen before, and I could not fucking stand it. I absolutely hated it. So ever since then, I've just had this thing where I don't revisit games that I used to really like.
Yeah,
I know, and people do get stuck in that sort of and I even know I do this myself about things, but people are very much, I preferred things how they were before. And I hear that all the time in Rust, once again. You know, people who preferred Legacy over what we've got now. And I sort of think, yeah, but if you played Legacy now, would you really enjoy it as much as you think you remember? Because that was shit.
You'd vomit in your mouth.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I did one on the YouTube once, because obviously there was a controversy of EA and Battlefield games. Like, you know, they ruined Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and 5 and 1. They ruined all those games, supposedly. And you get the old timers. And don't get me wrong, I'm an old timer. I played 1942 and Battlefield Vietnam, and you know, I played all. I have played, and I own every single Battlefield series. Every single one I've got. However, unlike some people, if I ever hear someone say, "No, they've ruined the Battlefield series. I wish it was back to what it used to be," I just say to those people, go and download it again. Go and do the horrifying stuff you need to do to actually get it to run in Windows 10, and then enjoy a game in the resolution that it loves to play in, and then come back to me in 20 minutes of playing that game and tell me what you think of it now. Because I guarantee you all listening to this, you will feel a bit sick.
Yeah, it's very jarring. I mean, I love it. I love it when old games are remastered, because that's a trend. Because the fond memories I have are for the gameplay. It's not for the graphics or anything like that. All of that. I mean, as you just said, trying to get something running on Windows 10, like an old DOS game, or it's bloody impossible.
Yeah.
Without major sort of configuration changes. I recently installed the remastered version of one of the Command and Conquer games, and
Oh yeah.
that was really good because I enjoyed the game and I
Mm.
didn't have to deal with any of the bullshit to get it running, you know. And the graphics had been upgraded, and the sound, and things like old point and click adventures, like all the old Lucas Arts games,
Yeah.
Grim Fandango and stuff like that. They all
Oh,
recently got remastered, and they just look beautiful and they run like really nicely. The humour is still unique, but yeah, I wouldn't want to actually run the old original. I wouldn't try and install Doom right now. Let's put it that way.
hmm
Like
I
I've got
think as well.
I've got
Look,
a 30-inch 4K monitor, and you know, can you imagine what that would look
yeah,
like?
they look awful.
It would actually look like Minecraft, probably.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you like
But
Minecraft, but
oh,
not you. I
I
mean, other people. But
wow. I can tolerate Minecraft on certain days. Don't get me wrong.
I've never played
Certain
it.
days.
I've watched people play it. It looks, I don't know, it looks interesting.
Yeah. It's quite funny because I was telling you the other day that another thing that has spoilt the games industry now, and it's not their fault. I feel like I'm targeting a lot of YouTubers and streamers today, and I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. It's not your fault. You're just doing what you want to do. But I find nowadays the first thing some people do, before they even get into a game, is watch someone's review and stream on how to do it,
Yeah,
and it ruins it. Hold on a second. Even you and me are full foul of that because you've done review videos on how to get started in Rust, and so have I.
yeah. I do it for a specific demographic that wants it. I
Exactly.
think the big problem for me is so I watch a lot of YouTube channels that cover games, and my biggest regret is when I start watching. So I watch a lot of the Rad Brad, and my biggest regret is when he starts playing a game, and halfway through like the first or second video, I think, oh, you know what? Actually, I'd like to play this game. But by then you're 2 hours of gameplay in, and you're sort of like, you know,
Yeah.
there's it's not as good because you're having to do what you've already seen. And likewise, so with Rust at the time when I first started playing it, I didn't watch any how-to videos. So when I built my first base, which was a disaster, you know, it was my own mistake, and I learned from making my own mistakes. So
Yeah.
as I played the game, I would build a base one wipe, I'd see how it did, and then the next wipe I'd either build an iteration of the same thing, learning from my mistakes, or I'd build something completely new. So as you know, I spent a very long time building bases on stilts,
Yeah.
and I still love the idea of that, and I do still occasionally do that.
It's
Um,
a crap idea, but
it's not practical for anything, but I like the aesthetic,
it looks
um,
good. Yeah.
and I like putting turrets underneath my base so that anybody on the ground level has to deal with that shit. But that's my own thing that I do. It's not because I've seen somebody else do that. You know, the number of people that I'm on a Rust server and I see, oh yeah, I've seen that base before on YouTube, and
I
they've
was just
built it
about to say.
exactly the same with no
Yeah.
alterations, so you know exactly where the loot room is. And this is a bit like what you were saying about the raidable bases plugin. Once
Yeah.
you've done one of those bases once,
Oh yeah.
you know exactly what you need to do in order to maximise the loot you're getting out of it.
Yeah. Exactly. Raidable bases would be a great plugin if you have 100 easy raidable bases, 100 medium raidable bases, and 100 large raidable bases.
Yeah,
And every
who's got time for that?
Yeah, and every 2 weeks you take those 100 raidable bases and you do slight modifications to them and tweaks to them.
Mm.
And exactly, unless you've got someone who full time wants that job, and again, I won't name servers, but if you had servers that were constantly almost full and generating a good amount of donation money, then yeah, of course you would. However, when you run the servers like these, nah, you, you can have it. You can have a vanilla.
Yeah. I'd take
But
vanilla any day over all that bullshit. I'm just.
it's a nice concept because some people do. The reason I had raidable bases on my old server was because people do like to get their teeth into something before the wipe. People, especially if you do 4 week wipes. If you're doing 4 week wipes, it's nice to have something to use some boom on. However, as we both touched on, if you only have 5 or 6 raidable bases, yeah, it's just going to get abused to shit, especially if they're not updated.
I did have an idea that if you had a popular enough server, you could do like competitions with your players to build bases and then use those bases in your.
Yeah.
But once again, it's sort of like it's the hassle of setting it up
Yeah,
for very little long term payoff, and it kills your server. I mean, the performance.
yeah. Well, you're absolutely right about sometimes the way you design your bases and the way I design my bases are actually they're least likely to get raided because someone doesn't know what they're looking for.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
definitely.
like they don't know where you've put that TC, and they don't know what kind of honeycombing you've done because it's totally different to what they've seen online.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I've always liked to do my own thing every single time. It's fun.
I built a base a few months ago. When you build a starter and you think, oh, actually, I really like this area. I'm just going to build here. So you like sort of like extend it. So I had this starter built into what was my main base, but because when I built my starter, I had no way of changing that. That just ended up being its own little bit of my base. That was actually became a part of the honeycomb of the rest of the base. So when the purge came along, the main part of my base got raided, but
Yeah.
I had never moved a lot of my good stuff from this little tiny alcove of my base into the main part. So when I logged in, I found myself dead because obviously I was staying in the main part. But when I came back to my base, all of my good stuff was still there because it was still in this little this little unseen alcove of the honeycomb.
Bloody brilliant.
That was
Bloody brilliant.
that was quite funny.
It's yeah, it is very true what you see nowadays. Again, it takes for me that's the fun of it, creating a base from scratch. You've never done a design before. You've never done, where some people, I don't understand it, Reb. I really don't. They log in, right? Honeycomb, 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 honeycomb. That's the foundation, right? I've done the same base I do for the last 8 months. Ah, and there's a new game out at the moment. Valheim. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I was thinking about starting up a server for it, but I think the functionality is pretty basic at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's well. The thing is, it looks shit. If I'm honest with you, I'll be honest with everyone now. It looks a pile of wank. It's not the kind of game I would like to play.
No, you're
However,
all about the AAA graphics, aren't you?
100%. I don't buy a bloody 900 quid graphics card to sit there and watch a Minecraft like MMO. No, thank you. But what's interesting though is there's already the YouTube videos in getting started and how to level fastest in Valheim. And again, you just
because they're gonna be out of date in a month. I'd hope
Yeah.
if the game has good devs.
yeah.
But
It's just a shame. Like I'm obviously gearing up for New World. Big game from Amazon.
yeah, you have been for the last year.
Well, everyone's got their doubts. You see, everyone thinks that the game's gonna flop, like a few of their other games did. I hope it doesn't. I genuinely hope that they've delayed it because
COVID.
it seems like they're taking a lot of the players' advice, and there needs to be more quests, there needs to be more dungeon content, and there needs to be less PvP. Although I am now accepting that I'll be going into a game PvP focused. But that game, I played an alpha week of it, when it was supposed to come out in August, I think it was, and they delayed it again. So I got given like a week access, and it looks amazing. And I'm gonna try. Well, I'm definitely not gonna.
You can do some how-to videos on it.
No, no. I'm gonna basically play it for what I want to play it for, and not give a shit about what other people want, because it just looks incredible. Like, it's got, the combat system is like no other. You actually have to dodge, and you actually have to move your character to avoid getting hit. So it's not like the normal MMO where you click a target and you just spam one and you spam two, and it doesn't matter if he's right by you hitting you, because you're spamming keys and he's spamming keys, and you're both just, it doesn't even matter if you're facing away from him, you're still hitting him full power. In New World, you actually have to be facing the enemy and actually move your character to strafe left or right to avoid swipes and shit like that. And if you use a block or a dodge with your shield, his weapon actually makes contact with your shield as well.
Right.
So you know what?
I'd be crap at that. That sounds horrific to me. I just want to be able to spam my keyboard for as long as my keyboard can handle it.
Yeah. Well, the last game that had something similar to this kind of combat was WildStar, and that game was a flop. That went under in less than a year. So
Right.
I'm
But you'd
hoping.
hope with Amazon's money behind it, they could make something of it. Is it
This is it.
Is
This
it
is
a one-off
isn't it?
purchase or a continuous payment?
Well, this is a dangerous thing. This is where so many MMOs have gone downhill. It's a one-off payment.
Right.
However,
so the funding will run out after 6 months, and then.
Well, this is Amazon, isn't it? This is also what I've got my cards on for it being successful, because it sounds to me. I mean, a lot of reviewers have basically said that the Amazon Game Studios are a bunch of spoiled kids.
Yeah.
Because
they've
got they've got all the money in the world, and they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they've got a lot of money, and you can tell it's a beautiful game, because you can just, the way the mechanics work, mate, are awesome. And that was an alpha I apparently played. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's hard to. I'm trying my hardest not to play other MMOs at the moment, just because I want to just focus on that. But how about you, mate? You're just really a Rust guy at the moment, aren't you?
No, I've been playing a lot of 7 Days.
Oh, of course.
The problem I have is, because the mechanics of the two games, there's quite a lot of overlap. I can't go from one game to the other without looking like a real idiot, like trying to get into the inventory and pressing all the wrong buttons. So yeah, I only played one or the other. Yeah, I know you love that game.
Mm.
Listen, why don't we call this to an end here, and maybe we'll catch up again sometime soon.
7 Days to Die, yeah.
Yeah. It's a conversation killer for you, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
It's a conversation starter. It could go either way.
Oh, I could talk to you about 7 Days to Die for hours, but I'm not going to. But no. We've covered quite a few things.
Yeah, I don't know what we've covered. I sort of lost track, but yeah, we've had a chat. I don't know. We'll get this out. If you're listening to this, then we succeeded in doing that. And yeah, as I said earlier, if you've got questions for either of us, then just post them below. And
I take it this is going on your YouTube channel, Reb.
Yeah, probably.
Excellent stuff. Because I'll be telling all the guys and girls in the racing club and everywhere else to check that then.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll send you a link when it's. Do you want me to send you? I'll tell you what. Look. Goodbye, everyone. That's me signing out for this episode.
Love you.
And
I'm not saying goodbye.
No. Okay.
I just.
Right. Just fade to silence then.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to do nowadays. That'll be Debug's token. That's my exit and my entrance. Silence.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, consider this podcast done and dusted, and yeah, I'll catch up with you again soon.